Have you ever noticed how some people walk into a tattoo studio right after their world falls apart, while others walk in smiling, excited, and completely at peace with life? That contrast says something powerful about human nature. Tattoos are not always about rebellion, attention, or trends like many people assume. Sometimes they are connected to emotional pain that words cannot explain, and other times they simply represent passion, creativity, freedom, memories, or personal identity. The truth is that the human brain naturally searches for ways to make emotions feel real and visible. Emotional experiences live inside the mind, but tattoos place those feelings onto the body where people can finally see them, control them, and carry them in a way that feels permanent. After heartbreak, grief, divorce, betrayal, or emotional collapse, many people feel like life suddenly becomes unstable. Everything familiar starts feeling disconnected. Thoughts become louder at night. Memories replay over and over. Emotions that cannot be touched or controlled begin taking over the mind. During moments like these, the brain starts craving something solid, something visible, something that feels permanent in a world that suddenly feels uncertain. That is why tattoos often become emotional anchors. A small symbol, a meaningful date, a phrase, or even abstract art can create a strange sense of emotional grounding. It becomes more than ink. It becomes proof that pain was survived. But not everyone gets tattoos because they are hurting. Some people get them because they are celebrating life, honoring culture, expressing creativity, or simply because they genuinely love tattoo art. A person may get a tattoo after traveling the world, achieving a dream, becoming a parent, or discovering confidence they never had before. For many people, tattoos are deeply connected to personality and self-expression rather than trauma. That is important to understand because social media often romanticizes emotional pain as the main reason behind tattoos, when reality is much more human and balanced. Still, emotional experiences do play a huge role in why tattoos feel so meaningful for many individuals. The moment emotional pain enters someone's life, their identity can begin to shift. A breakup can make someone question their worth. Grief can make someone feel emotionally lost. Failure can make someone feel disconnected from who they used to be. During these moments, even small decisions start carrying emotional weight. Choosing a tattoo design can suddenly feel like reclaiming ownership over the self again. The pain of the needle may even feel strangely calming because physical pain is easier for the brain to process than emotional suffering. For a few hours, scattered emotions become focused into one controlled experience. And that is where things become deeply interesting. Because sometimes the tattoo people choose says far more about their emotional state than they ever admit out loud. What makes tattoos emotionally powerful is not just the design itself, but the story hiding behind it. Two people can have the exact same tattoo and carry completely different meanings in their hearts. One person may see freedom, while another sees survival. That is why tattoos often become silent, emotional diaries written directly onto the skin. Many people never openly talk about the hardest moments of their lives. They smile in public, continue working, keep posting online, and act like everything is normal while internally carrying emotional exhaustion nobody notices. A tattoo can become the one place where those hidden emotions finally have somewhere to exist. Sometimes it represents a version of themselves they almost lost. Sometimes it marks the day life changed forever. And sometimes the meaning is intentionally private because not every emotional scar is meant to be explained to the world. Psychologists often talk about how humans naturally search for symbols during emotional transitions. Weddings have rings. Graduations have diplomas. Funerals have memorials. Tattoos can work in a similar psychological way. They help people emotionally mark the ending of one chapter and the beginning of another. After emotional pain, people often feel powerless because life suddenly changes without permission. A relationship ends unexpectedly. A loved one disappears forever. Trust gets destroyed overnight. In those moments, getting a tattoo can feel like taking control back. The person chooses the design, chooses the placement, chooses the meaning, and chooses how the experience will live on their body. That feeling of ownership can become emotionally comforting in ways many people do not fully realize. But there is another side to this that makes the psychology even more fascinating. Some people later look at their tattoos and barely recognize the person they were when they got them. A tattoo created during emotional chaos may carry emotions that eventually fade with time. What once felt deeply meaningful can later feel distant, almost like looking at a photograph from another lifetime. That can create mixed emotions because tattoos are permanent, while feelings are constantly evolving. Yet even when the original pain disappears, many people still keep those tattoos proudly because they become reminders of growth instead of reminders of suffering. The tattoo no longer represents heartbreak itself. It represents survival, transformation, and emotional resilience. At the same time, many tattoo lovers never connect their ink to emotional pain at all. Some simply love the art form, the creativity, the aesthetic, and the culture surrounding tattoos. For them, tattoos are exciting, empowering, and enjoyable experiences connected to identity rather than emotional wounds. A person might get tattoos because they admire artistic detail, love fashion, or enjoy building a visual story across their body over time. That balance matters because tattoos are not automatically signs of sadness, trauma, or emotional instability like some stereotypes suggest. In fact, many confident and emotionally healthy people choose tattoos simply because it makes them feel more like themselves. But here's where the deeper suspense begins. Because sometimes people believe they are getting a tattoo for style, confidence, or creativity, only to slowly realize later that the design was quietly connected to emotions they had never fully processed in the first place. The human mind is far more emotional than most people realize, and tattoos often reveal feelings that words fail to communicate. That is why certain tattoos become unforgettable parts of someone's identity even years after the original moment has passed. A small symbol on the wrist may represent the night someone decided not to give up. A flower on the shoulder may quietly honor a person they lost, but still carry in their heart every single day. A bold sleeve tattoo may represent confidence that took years to build after insecurity once controlled their entire life. Even tattoos chosen for fun, fashion, or pure artistic passion can slowly become emotionally connected to memories and experiences over time. That is the fascinating thing about self-expression. The moment something becomes part of the body, it also becomes part of personal identity. Many people spend years trying to understand themselves emotionally, and tattoos sometimes become visual pieces of that journey. They remind people who they were, who they became, and sometimes who they never want to become again. Social media has changed tattoo culture in massive ways too. Tattoos are now more accepted, more artistic, and more emotionally open than ever before. Years ago, tattoos were often connected to rebellion or social judgment, but today, they are connected to individuality, storytelling, confidence, creativity, and emotional authenticity. People no longer hide their tattoos the way they once did. Instead, many proudly use them to express personality and life experiences. Still, beneath all the trends, aesthetics, and viral tattoo videos, the emotional psychology remains incredibly powerful. Humans naturally crave meaning. Even when someone says a tattoo has no deep explanation, there is usually still some emotional reason why that specific design, placement, or moment felt important enough to become permanent. The brain attaches memories to symbols constantly, often without conscious awareness. That is why looking at a tattoo years later can instantly bring back emotions, smells, places, and forgotten memories connected to a certain period of life. Tattoos become emotional time capsules in ways that are almost impossible to erase. But perhaps the deepest truth is this: tattoos do not magically heal emotional pain. They do not erase heartbreak, grief, loneliness, or insecurity overnight. What they often do instead is help people emotionally process change. They give shape to invisible emotions. They create moments of control during emotional chaos. They allow people to transform internal experiences into visible forms that feel real, personal, and lasting. And for some people, that alone feels incredibly healing. Others simply enjoy tattoos because they love beauty, art, freedom, and self-expression without any connection to emotional suffering at all. Both experiences are valid. Both are deeply human. At the end of the day, tattoos are less about ink and more about meaning. They reflect memory, identity, emotion, confidence, survival, creativity, and the complicated emotional experiences that shape every human life. Sometimes a tattoo represents pain. Sometimes it represents joy. And sometimes it represents both at the exact same time. If you like our topics, please subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.